Am I the a-hole for telling mother-in-law she was dead to me after she showed up in labor and delivery without my mother? For the past 3 months, it's been a very well-known plan that when I 30 female went into labor, my husband was going to drive me to the hospital, and my mother-in-law was going to pick up my mother, my kids, and my grandmother all from one house. Both my mother-in-law and my mom were supposed to be in the delivery room. My gram was to watch my two kids in the waiting room. Everyone was in agreement with the plan. Now, my husband and I have 2 sons already, and for both births, my mother was present. She helped me through so much of the mental anguish and panic, especially after my last, whom literally almost killed me. I was bleeding out on the table. My mom was the only one able to keep me calm. I needed her to be with me with this baby too, mentally. So we worked this plan out months in advance and everyone was on the same page. However, I go into labor. We make the phone calls to mother-in-law and my mom, telling my mom to be ready and my mother-in-law to go get my mother. An hour and 15 minutes later, mother-in-law shows up at the hospital without my mom, my kids, or my grandmother. She said, well, it's late, so we need to just let everyone sleep. It was 9:30 p.m. and then sat her ass down on the chair in the delivery room and jumped on her phone. I told her in a pissed off tone to go get my mom. That was the plan. I needed my mom, etc, etc, and she just wouldn't. At one point saying that she didn't feel up to driving that much. My mom lives 20 minutes from her house and are away. So I told her to get the fuck out of the room and that she was dead to me. The amount of resentment and disgust that I felt toward her in this moment is honestly not something I feel I will overcome anytime soon. She was pissed, saying that my mom got to experience 2 births already and how she didn't do anything wrong. And she was just being respectful of people's sleep and where she wasn't leaving. She was actually escorted out. Now, my mom was able to make it to the hospital literally just as I was giving birth. My kids and my grandmother weren't able to make it, which bothers me a great deal. We promised our kids they would be the first to meet their sister, outside of us, and Grammy. I cannot forgive my mother-in-law for this at all. I honestly feel like I hate her with every fiber of my being, but I'm being told I'm taking this too far, and that it wasn't that big of a deal. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I'm leaving him when he was in the middle of a meltdown? My husband and I have been together for 8 years now. I have 2 sons from my previous marriage, 13 and 9, and I just gave birth to me and my husband's daughter 3 months ago. Prior to me giving birth, and even a few weeks following, our home life was great. We often had friends telling us they wish they could find someone that made them as happy as him, and I made each other. There was hardly ever any disagreements. Our communication was solid. He was fantastic with my boys, attending every parent-teacher conference, doctor's appointment, school event, etc., and took them out often to play baseball and basketball. This all changed after maybe 2 to 3 weeks after I gave birth. He turned angry, depressed, and impatient. Me and the kids started having to constantly walk on eggshells. He became lazy, such as stopped cleaning up after himself or helping around the house, yet still used sentences to my kids such as, you guys need to pick up after yourself. Me and your mother shouldn't have to follow you around and clean up your messes, when he never cleaned at all. I couldn't even get him to wash his own dinner plate without him having a meltdown, basically. Every day he was just angry. If one thing went wrong, like him not being able to find something he set down somewhere, which became an everyday event, he was freaking out, saying things like, yup, awesome, so glad life wants to fuck me over, or why the fuck does this always happen to me? Can't I just have a good fucking day for once? But he always made it me and the kids' problem. If he lost something, it didn't matter what time of day it was. He was 100% flipping out and expecting me to find it for him. I even told him my oldest son had to go to the ear because he had a bad rash. And he goes, have your mom take him because he was using my vehicle. Or the other day my mood has been soured due to his early morning freakout, and it out me on a rough route. I was exhausted, running on 3 hours of sleep, and he rushed me out of the house to go do his errands with him. I didn't even get out of the car. So it was pointless, and then gets pissed and screams, what the fuck is your problem? Can't we just have a good day for once? As if I am the reason his life sucks. And this is not the man I married. So last night around 11:30 p.m. he starts freaking out again. He lost an important item he needed for work. He starts slamming things around our bedroom, repeatedly saying things like fucking great, fucking awesome, fucking love it, until I got up and start helping him look. As soon as I get up out of bed, he stops looking and just walks behind me holding his phone's flashlight. We can't find it. He doesn't go to work as a result, another trait he's gotten since giving birth. He literally calls out over the wind blowing wrong. I lay back down, He practically body slams the bed beside me. Starts huffing and puffing, heavy sighing, growling while practically clawing at his face. Talking about how fucking stupid this life is. I asked him to stop, and he says fuck you. So I tell him I'm done. I'm leaving, and that me and my children's shit will be out of the home by today. He says what the fuck ever, and goes to sleep. I wake up at 5 a.m. and start packing. He comes out around 7 asking what I'm doing, and I tell him again that I'm done and I'm leaving. He says I'm leaving him in his time of need and he would never do that to me. But he kind of did. Because I was diagnosed with PPD not even for days after giving birth, and he completely overrode it and made it about him and how much his life sucks. X, I know you're feeling some type of way, but I have shit going on too. No one asked me how the fuck I am or literally making passive-aggressive comments. Like wish I could sleep all day when I was 6 days postpartum. After I fell asleep on the couch, he does nitrogen monoxide nighttime duty. As I said, he says I'm leaving him in his time of need and that I should have urged him to get therapy instead of walking away. But his anger has made me hate him. I don't even want to be near him. Edit. I'm just going to reiterate what I've said to some commenters. I have tried talking to him about this. It's an immediate blame shift the second that I bring up anything that is bothering me. He says I'm attacking him. Says things like as if you don't have fucking issues that I have to deal with every day. Tells me it's all in my head and has even called me a narcissist quite a few times in the past 2 months, claiming that I'm accusing him of things because things aren't going my way. Often says he does everything and that me and my kids don't respect him. So, I have tried talking to him. He's completely defensive and refuses to actually speak on issues, outside of one single time, when he was drinking and admitted that he's being an asshole and that we don't deserve to be treated this way. Am I the a-hole for asking step-daughter to move out? This is an ongoing issue going on in my home. I, 33 female, am currently pregnant with my first child. I live in a 2-bedroom home with my husband and stepdaughter, 23 female. Stepdaughter and I get along fine. No big issues, but we also are not super close. Now that the baby is coming, we need more space. Unfortunately, we can't afford a new home. I brought up to my husband asking stepdaughter to move out. My reasoning is that we really need her room for the new baby. And she is an adult with a full-time job, so it is time for her to be on her own anyway. My husband agreed, and we brought it up to her at dinner one night. We told her we would help with her first 2 months' rent. I told her it would be fun her, and I could go shopping, and I will help her decorate her new apartment. We tried to be as gentle as we could, but she was very quiet. Privately, she told my husband that even though she has a full-time job, she cannot afford to live on her own. My husband told her she did not need to move out, so now we are scrambling trying to find space for new baby. The other day I was home alone with stepdaughter and tried to talk to her about it again. I offered to help her find a roommate and she snapped on me. She snapped on me and told me to just leave her alone and locked herself in her room. When my husband got home from work, he was mad at me and told me to leave her alone and not bring it up anymore. Things have been awkward and uncomfortable since making my pregnancy very stressful. She is 23, old enough to be on her own. She has a job, and we are willing to help her. We need space for our baby. I do not see how I am in the wrong here. Am I the a-hole for being honest with my girlfriend when she asked a question about the birthday cake she made me? I, 30 female, had a birthday just yesterday, and my girlfriend, 36 female, offered to bake me a cake. I told her that I would prefer a chocolate cake, devil's food with chocolate icing, and nothing fancy. She is usually a great baker, and I guess she thought that wasn't sophisticated enough or something. She baked me a chocolate cake with vanilla icing between the 2 layers of cake, then surrounding in chocolate frosting. The cake was fine, but I was disappointed because it was not what I wanted. She must have noticed and asked me if I was disappointed, so I was honest with her. Yes, I was disappointed. It wasn't the cake I asked for. I said, if I wanted vanilla in a cake, I would have asked for vanilla in the cake. I didn't make a scene. I didn't pout. I even ate half of a slice, the chocolate part. She got upset with me and said, but I've made vanilla cake before, and you liked it. I pointed out that I don't mind vanilla icing, but ***, it's not what I wanted for my birthday ***. Her feelings were hurt, and she even pulled a I'm not gonna make you any cake next year, which I replied with, I will order my own and get my money back if they don't do it like I wanted. Apparently, that was the last straw. She asked me to leave. Later texted me that I embarrassed her in front of her kids, and now she won't reply to my messages. I think birthdays are important things, and I feel like I was honest with her when she asked me. I didn't want to lie about it. My friend told me I should have been grateful that she made me a cake at all, especially one that I've eaten and liked in the past. Maybe I overreacted a bit, though I don't feel like I did and hope to get a second opinion. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. After looking at the comments, I've apologized to my girlfriend for being the partial asshole, but also asked her for an apology as well because it looked like the results were about 50-50ths on whether I was or wasn't, at least when I skimmed them. She hasn't replied yet, but I assume I'll hear from her today. She is probably just thinking about how she can best apologize to me.